I did with my client was talk about the spaces we would be working in, and one of the main spaces she said she normally decorates for the different seasons is her dining room. And I really wanted that to be the first place I started. It really seems like a very focal point room of her home, and I thought it would be a great place to start. So I also decided, as she had mentioned, she's trying to transition her decor from less traditional autumnal tones to more neutral tones. I wanted to use the neutral tones in her dining room and living room as much as I could, and then use the items she had that were more the traditional autumnal tones in the kitchen and other spaces that the day-to-day decor lent to those colors anyways, and the dining room and living room also lent to the more neutral tones as well. So I started with the table. I put this beautiful pumpkin table runner. It has beautiful gold and creams, and it's just very pretty and very fall and neutral. And then I wanted to create a nice centerpiece for her. So I used this large dark brown basket she had, and she had just picked up this beautiful, very big faux fall leaf stem. I believe she got it from Hobby Lobby. And it's this beautiful golden brown color. And so I wanted to incorporate that. But because she has this beautiful hanging light, I didn't want to keep with something too tall. I wanted to bring it down a little bit. So we went with the basket. I did stuff the basket with some paper towels, some plastic grocery bags, and then covered those with a piece of burlap, just so that all of these pieces, the stems and these cute white green cream faux pumpkins and these faux gourds and these beautiful dark brown faux acorns, so they could be lifted up and be visible and not sink down to the bottom of the basket, which is a great tip to add height and a great way to recycle items that you might throw away. So on either side, I wanted to create some function and still some prettiness. They do eat here, so this is definitely a space they're in. So we added back in her salt and pepper shakers, and then she had this beautiful cloche, but didn't have a little stand. So we used this plate she had, and to cover up the writing, I just put in a napkin, and then I filled it with one of these dried gourds and some of these faux acorns, and it was just a really cute little addition to the vignette. And then we put the napkin holder she has on the other side. So I loved how that turned out. Now she has this little cabinet sideboard sort of area in her dining room with these two beautiful pieces of artwork, and I just loved this. So one thing I did was to kind of offset and keep balance with the lamp. I took this clear tall vase she had that was actually initially on her dining table and filled it with these dried fall stems. They're so pretty, so neutral, such a call to fall. They're almost like dried wheat stems, and they're just so pretty. She had this white ceramic acorn that again tied in with the lamp and the creams of this space, and I thought it would add a nice, again, little addition, a nod to fall without screaming fall. And then I just sort of played around and rearranged these little dishes and things they had on here, just to kind of incorporate and then balance out the other side with some more of those small dark brown acorns. My next item on the agenda in this room was to cover this beautiful tapestry artwork that she had hanging above the faux fireplace in her dining room. This tapestry was the perfect size for that spot over the faux fireplace, but it definitely was more of a spring summer piece. And so when we were talking and sort of discussing what she was looking for, she had mentioned that she had been on the lookout for a similar tapestry that spoke to more of the fall season and just couldn't find one she liked, or that one she felt was reasonably priced, and many different factors. And so we spoke about a bunch of different ideas, and then when she was kind of showing me a different space, I saw she had this brown craft paper, and so I had an idea that we may be able to cover the tapestry and use this brown paper and either handwrite a message or maybe hang a banner or a garland over it. And she loved the idea. I loved the idea. And it was a great way to make something work in her house that she already had. It's not going to cost her any more money. And it really is going to create that beautiful call to fall and fit the space perfectly because this piece itself already does fit it perfectly. I hope this encourages you to think outside the box with some of those things you may have in your home or different ways you can change things up in your home to coincide with the season or the holiday that you might be trying to decorate for in your home. You don't have to go and buy a bunch of new things, as tempting as that can be for us all, myself included. You really can rework the pieces in your home and call to the season at hand. So doing something like using brown craft paper to cover this tapestry and hanging a simple garland over it, which we will do further in the video, cost $0 and was actually not that hard to do, and it worked out so beautifully. So my message to you with this particular piece of the video is just try to think outside the box with the pieces you already have at home and do what you can to use what you can before you go out and buy something else. So I hope that inspires you. I used some command strips to hook it on the back, and then we hung it back up here over her fireplace. Doesn't it look so great? And she had this gather banner that I thought would be perfect. So I just sort of tied that to the sides of the tapestry holder. Ideally, I would say a chalkboard banner or something that wasn't quite so close to the tone of the brown craft paper would have been better. But again, we were using what she had, and I still think it looks so beautiful. Once I had that staple piece above the faux fireplace, I started to style the mantle. I really loved this almost paper mache style pumpkin that she had, and it had a beautiful thankful messages written on it, and so I definitely wanted to incorporate that. Again, I wanted to bring some height on either side, and so I wanted to incorporate more of these dried wheat stems that were on the sideboard. And so I found this white pitcher that she had, and I decided to use that. Now I did have a hard time because it was probably a little shorter than would have been ideal for this height of stem. I had a hard time getting them to stand exactly how I wanted them. So a little trick I did was I took some paper towel and sort of stuffed it behind, and that gave it a little bit more fullness in the bottom to help those stand up. Now, you can't see at this moment, but she had this beautiful little book stack, which I thought was so cute. And I just added this other ceramic pumpkin she had that had a little fall message on it to, again, tie in the pumpkin on the other side and just add some more balance. I was really struggling, feeling like the middle area of the fireplace mantle felt so bare, and so I was trying to come up with different ways to fill that in. So I found this brown burlap that she had, this really dark brown, and decided to sort of drape it over the fireplace, which ended up looking so beautiful. I did use a little bit of a small command hook in the center just to kind of keep it in place, and it helped. Now I will say I still felt like it was a little empty. So one of the things she and I talked about was adding in some open frame, sort of a layering effect. And so she didn't have that at that time when I was there working in her house. So she found some of those doing some thrifting and antiquing, and actually at a family's estate sale. And so she added those in later, and they look amazing. As you can see, I was really trying to still fill in that center space, and she had this beautiful piece of architectural salvage. They live truly in a farmhouse, and in their barn at one point she found this piece, and I just thought it was so cool, and I wanted to incorporate it. So I didn't like it in the center, but I ended up swapping that candle lantern sort of thing out for that piece, and I think it looked better there. Next, I went into the living room. Again, I still was trying to bring in the neutral fall in here because her living room lends itself to that color palette better than the traditional oranges and reds and yellows. So one of the things she had mentioned she had done in the past was sticking these little white pumpkin picks in this floral arrangement she has on her media center, and I loved it. So we just stuck with that. I felt like that was a moment where we did not need to reinvent the wheel. And then I just played around and sort of moved things over. She has this cute little basket hanging on the wall that I filled with some more of those dried sort of faux gourds. I ended up feeling like the media center needed more, so I added a burlap runner and underneath the arrangement, and then just sort of played with the levels. And I wanted to sort of incorporate more height and more depth with these items. The next place in her living room that I wanted to add in some more fall elements was over on this wall. She has this beautiful shelf with this picture on it. The best way I can describe it is a shelf, but it's very unique and so beautiful in this picture. So again, I tied in the dining room with those dried wheat stems. So pretty in there. I absolutely loved it. And then she also has this a little bit larger ledge shelf with a picture on it. And so in just a moment, I went ahead and tucked some of those wheat stems kind of behind it, kind of giving the effect of a garland, which you'll see in a minute. But I really wanted to add a little pop on her coffee table. She had another one of these neutral sort of browns and creams runner for fall, and so it was a shorter runner. It was perfect on her coffee table, so I put that over there, put a little tray, and you'll see me play around with a bunch of things. This was the first time I had ever been inside her house, so when I work with a client, I try to talk with them, find out what they're looking for with what they're hiring me for, whatever that may be, and their wants, their needs, and also try to get to know them, try to get familiar with the space, get an idea of their style, the things they're passionate about, and try to have what I do in their space reflect them, their family, and make it feel like them as much as possible, and really try to get what they are looking for. And so she really wanted pops of fall, but didn't want it to feel overwhelming. And so we kept things very simple, and it really turned out beautiful. So I'm going to let this play on, and you'll just see me mess with some things in the video, clean up some of my working space a little bit too. And we also we're chit-chatting a lot about different things to look for to add some elements that she could use on her table and different things like that she could use for different seasons and sort of as day-to-day decor that she can change a few things here and there. Favorite things to do is swapping out little things and adding touches of the season. So one way I was able to do this was on this beautiful antique kitchen scale that she has in her kitchen. She had a little picture on top of it, and just swapping that out with some of these small mini pumpkins was the perfect little touch of fall. And the kitchen, we didn't do too much in, and I don't like to go too crazy in the kitchen, especially in your workspace and countertops and things like that, because you really want those spaces to be functional. So I tried to just enhance some of the decor pieces or how she had things styled. She has this beautiful tiered basket tray, and so that was definitely one of the things she wanted to incorporate more seasonal items and sort of change it up a little bit for fall. She had some really great neutral pieces already in here, so there wasn't a whole lot to swap out because these pieces were sort of staple pieces to her tray and really can work for every season when you add in some seasonal touches. So you'll just see me play around with that, adding in some faux florals, some faux like this gourd and different pumpkins. She had some real gourds and pumpkins she had purchased, and just kind of incorporating those, some faux leaves that she had, and I really love how it turned out. done doing the tiered basket tray and sort of adding that little pumpkin on the cake stand with her dish soap and things like that, I really was trying to balance the dish stand on the other side of the tray. So I ended up doing that little lantern candle holder and added a little leaf, and it looked cute. But she has this diffuser here, and so we talked about maybe getting a little riser or cake stand or something for her to have the diffuser on and kind of scoot into that area, because I really think it really balances that space nicely. Things I would encourage you to do is really think outside the box with items, not just using them for the purpose they're intended for. For example, I used this glass canister as a vase for some of these faux floral stems, not dried, and I love how it turned out. I'm gonna go ahead and give you the tour of the spaces I decorated in her home. I think they turned out beautiful, and I think she loved it, and I hope you enjoyed and love it too.